Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. In a dramatic turn of events, tensions between the US and Iran have eased slightly, but not entirely. The Middle East remains on high alert as gas prices are set to rise globally this year. We'll take you through the latest developments in Washington and Tehran, including a surprise move by Donald Trump that's left many questioning his intentions. Our top stories tonight: Trump's conflicting messages with Iran, a climb down from war, and what it means for Asia's nuclear ambitions. Let's dive right in. Following a surge in tensions between the US and Iran, President Trump's words have sparked confusion as both sides issue conflicting messages on potential talks. The conflict between US President Donald Trump and Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega has escalated, with both leaders trading verbal barbs over Iran's military offensive in the Middle East. The war began on February 28 when the US and Israeli launched strikes on Iran, prompting a significant shift in global politics. Nicaraguan President Ortega has long been critical of Trump, who has branded his government a dictatorship due to its authoritarian tendencies. However, Ortega's recent comments took a personal tone, accusing Trump of being mentally unstable for his handling of the situation. The war being waged in the way the current US president is waging it is typical of someone who has lost their mind and thinks they can do whatever they want, any kind of cruelty, Ortega said during an event in Managua. Ortega's comments also criticized Trump for posting an AI-generated image on his Truth Social platform depicting him as Jesus Christ. The Nicaraguan president questioned the authenticity of Trump's actions, saying, "How many has he actually healed?" In a separate development, Trump stated that obtaining uranium from Iran would be long and not feasible. The escalation between Ortega and Trump highlights the growing tensions in the Middle East and the global implications of the conflict. As the situation continues to unfold, it is essential to monitor the developments and assess their potential impact on international relations. The US and its allies are closely watching the situation, with many fearing a broader regional conflict. As energy markets continue to face significant uncertainty, one industry is bracing for a price hike that's expected to hit wallets hard this year. The ongoing conflict in Iran has led to significant disruptions in global oil markets, causing gas prices in the US to skyrocket. Despite a reported resolution to the conflict and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, energy experts warn that prices are unlikely to drop back down to pre-war levels anytime soon. According to Energy Secretary Chris Wright, gas prices may not return to their average price of just under $3 per gallon until next year. This is because the global oil supply chain has been severely impacted by the conflict, leading to increased production costs and reduced availability. The situation has significant economic implications for American consumers, particularly in the lead-up to the midterm elections. Higher gas prices are a direct and visible effect of the war that can influence voter behavior and sway election outcomes. President Trump's comments on the issue have also added fuel to the fire, with some analysts suggesting that his stance on the conflict may be contributing to the price surge. The impact of the conflict on gas prices is not limited to the US. However, the global oil market has seen significant volatility in recent months, with some experts warning of a potential price shock if the supply chain disruptions persist. As such, it's essential for policymakers and leaders to take action to address the underlying issues driving these price increases and work towards a more stable energy future. After a tense standoff that brought tensions to the brink of all-out war, the situation has taken a dramatic turn in the Middle East. The situation in the Middle East has taken a dramatic turn as tensions between Iran and the US continue to escalate. A 14-day ceasefire agreement that was put in place last month is set to expire on Tuesday, and it appears that President Donald Trump is refusing to extend it without Iranian compliance. According to reports, the US Navy boarded the Tiffany vessel overnight, claiming it was a stateless sanctioned ship with a duty to interdict ships providing material support to Iran. The incident occurred without any incident, according to the Department of War. Meanwhile, Iran has warned that it is prepared to unleash new cards on the battlefield if its demands for an end to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz are not met. This comes as Trump stated that he will continue the blockade until Iran agrees to a peace deal, calling it highly unlikely that he would extend the ceasefire. The situation has sparked concern among observers, with many warning that a 2-week ceasefire may be coming to an end without a peace agreement in place. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Tehran's parliamentary speaker and top negotiator, accused Trump of wanting to justify renewed warmongering by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire. The U.S. and Iran have yet to commit to a second round of direct talks in Islamabad, which was expected to take place on Tuesday. Instead, Vice President Mike Pence is scheduled to visit Pakistan today. The situation remains volatile, with many wondering what the next move will be from both sides. As tensions in the Middle East escalate, a surprise development has emerged that will significantly impact the ongoing crisis: a unilateral extension of the ceasefire. The U.S. has extended its ceasefire with Iran at Pakistan's request, according to a statement by President Donald Trump. The decision comes after an earlier threat to resume bombing was dropped, and Trump stated that the Pakistani government requested the extension. The military blockade on Iranian ports will continue. Trump's statement explains that he has directed the military to remain ready to attack if Iran's leaders do not come up with a unified proposal for ending the conflict. However, until then, the ceasefire will hold, and the blockade of Iranian ports will continue. The development comes as tensions in the region have continued to rise since the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran began in February. The blockade of Iranian ports has had significant economic implications, particularly for shipping companies looking to transport vital cargo through the Strait of Hormuz. In a related development, fresh talks between Israel and Lebanon will take place in Washington on Thursday. This is the first time the two nations have engaged in direct negotiations since 2008. The talks include Hezbollah, which was part of a 10-day ceasefire agreement reached earlier this week. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, will be part of the U.S. delegation for these talks. The development is seen as an attempt to stabilize the region and reduce tensions between Israel and Lebanon. This latest development highlights the complex web of relationships in the Middle East, where events in one country can have far-reaching consequences elsewhere. As the situation continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how this will impact the global economy and international relations. As the Middle East teeters on the brink of chaos, several Asian nations are reassessing their own nuclear policies in response to escalating tensions. The recent conflict between Iran and its adversaries has significant implications for regional non-proliferation efforts in Asia. The war, which has already seen multiple rounds of attacks, marks a stark contrast to the region's usual restraint on nuclear proliferation. U.S. President Donald Trump and top administration officials have repeatedly stated that their goal was to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. They claim that no peace deal is possible without the removal of highly enriched uranium, HEU, manufactured by Iran and stored at various sites, including underground facilities. Specifically, 440 kilograms of near-weapons-grade HEU poses a significant threat, as it could be further enriched in just weeks to produce fissile material for nearly a dozen nuclear weapons. Iran's alleged enrichment capabilities are believed to remain intact despite the recent attacks, which have damaged but not destroyed its missile forces and production capacity. This has raised concerns among regional allies that Iran is capable of developing nuclear capabilities. The conflict highlights the shift in U.S. military priorities towards the Middle East, with resources diverted away from supporting allies in the Indo-Pacific region. This move has reinforced suspicions that the Trump administration may be willing to abandon regional partners for unilateral foreign policy goals. The growing Chinese military presence in the region also adds to these concerns. As a result, countries in Asia are reassessing their nuclear options, driven by the interruption of natural gas and oil supplies from the Persian Gulf and rising fossil fuel prices. That's all for today's news recap. We'll continue to bring you updates on the latest developments in international relations, trade, and global events. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to stay up to date on these stories and others, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're committed to providing accurate and unbiased information. Until next time, good night.